Anmol, can I tell you about something that I've been answering to people since forever?
What have people been asking you?
I run a software development agency. We build software products for other companies. So whenever I attend an event, if it's like a Bangalore event and all, people are always curious, why am I not building a product? Why am I doing a service? It's not a scalable thing. People are like, no one's going to fund you. Even insinuated why am I wasting my time and stuff. I was like, okay, one of these days I will write down what are the pros and cons of running a services company versus a product company. When do you decide which to do and when to do what, right? I thought I'll take this podcast this one to just share out what I had figured out when, and if somebody is in a similar boat, maybe it can probably help them out. Hello.
Hello.
Which
Back from. Huh?
which state are you in now?
I am in a very cold city.
City.
Well, technically in Virginia,
Oh,
in
West
the
Virginia.
outskirts of. No, normal Virginia.
Oh,
But it is 13 degrees Celsius.
damn. That's why
So
you're
a
wearing
little.
the hoodie and shit, huh?
Yeah, because I'm also recording the podcast in the basement, and the heating isn't very strong down.
That's a
So
basement. I can see sunlight and
well,
stuff.
it's like it has windows, but it's like the upper floor is technically the main floor, so I just call this the basement.
Okay. So the last episode, we were able to get quite a lot of comments.
Yeah, we do have people watching the podcast.
Who would have thought, right? So
Uh,
everyone who commented, make sure to stick around, and in the end, probably we'll tell you how to redeem your Blinkit voucher.
yeah,
And to make things easier, in this video also, we're going to do the same deal, but with a different twist. I think we're going to select 5 people and then distribute the voucher to them, correct?
yeah, but randomly, not the
Random.
first five,
Yeah, so not the first
not the
5,
first.
we'll select random 5 people and we'll give the Blinkit voucher to them. So five of you who comment will be the lucky the lucky fellas.
Winners.
Yeah,
And then
lucky.
if any of you know the Pinder or Albinder at Eternal, please put us in touch so we can get them to sponsor the podcast and our
Yeah.
weekly giveaways.
Yeah, it's not going to be very expensive. Come on, Albinder, what are you
Yeah, but
doing?
if we can get there's a matter of brand
No, that's what I'm
associated.
saying, Albinder, dude. What are you doing, dude? It's not going to be very expensive.
Someone send Albinder the podcast.
Yeah. Okay, so Anmol, can I tell you about something that I've been answering to people since forever?
Yes, go ahead.
So
What have people been asking you?
so right, so I run a software development agency, so to say.
Yep.
We are in the services. We don't have a product that we sell. We build software products for other companies. So whenever I attend an event, right, generally, especially if it's like a Bangalore event and all, people are always curious, why am I not building a product, and
Yeah.
why am I doing a service?
Yeah.
And services don't really have a good reputation out there. It's not a scalable thing. People are like, no one's going to fund you and stuff like that, right? So these are the questions that always keep coming to me.
And then also, I think you get the bad rap because, technically, like your TCS and Infosys and all are like services companies. So,
Yeah.
you don't have the kind of you have way better gross margins and work on way cooler stuff. But I assume some people's mental models just compare them with you.
Correct. I can't say about the gross margin though, because these guys have crazy gross margins, or even net
Oh,
margins for
okay,
that matter.
okay. Maybe.
So because these guys employ freshers, paying them
Yeah.
25 to 30K and then charging 2 lakhs for them,
Okay, fair. Okay.
essentially, right? So that's the trade that these guys are
But
running.
way cooler shit you work on.
That I believe so.
Yeah.
So people have asked me or even insinuated, why am I wasting my time and stuff, and it's always fun to get that that comment, but I was like, okay, one of these days I will write down what are the pros and cons of running a services company versus a product company. When do you
Yes.
decide which to do and when to do what, right? I
Yeah.
thought like
Yeah.
I'll take this podcast this one to just share out what I had figured out when, and if
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
is in a similar boat, maybe it can probably
Yeah.
help them out.
Plus, I assume people don't know your lore where like you've actually been technically had you ran this services company like a long time ago as
Right.
well. And then
Yes.
like you picked it back up and like so it's not like you've not tried other shit. You also I guess know what you're like really good at.
Yes. So I mean, yeah, I've come back to it like thrice. So the big reason why I'm running a services company and not running, let's say, a product company is because to build a product you need a lot of money, and you might not be making that kind of money right away. Typically that's why companies raise money, right? Because they need to pay developers, and developers are not cheap. They need to pay developers to build out the product, and then they need to pay for acquisition. They need to have good economics so that they eventually make their money back, considering that the amount of money that they put in terms of like dev time, dev costs, and the marketing and sales cost, right?
Yep.
So all those kind of things, they require money, and if you're not raising money, it becomes very hard to sort of run a product company.
Yeah, yeah, you're like severely constrained by bootstrapping, by like having to try to charge consumers well ahead of when you'd want to start monetizing or like grow much slowly or etc if you don't have the ability to raise capital for like a product company like that.
Right. And I mean, there are exceptions. Let's say, I'm not saying this is impossible. I mean, we have so many companies out there, like Zerodha is there, right? Like, I mean, they have bootstrapped their companies to
Yeah.
like massive companies. So I'm
Yeah.
not claiming that you cannot do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just
it's
very
just,
hard.
it's just very hard. It's just my truth that I've not been able to sort of pull it off. When I decided, okay, I don't want to raise money until I figure out uh, something where you're like, okay, I know this is a venture scale outcome that is possible. Before that, if you try to raise money, it's like pointless. If you're not shooting for the moon, venture is not like ideal way to sort of go about it.
Like the only kind of caveat I'll say is like yes and no. I think eventually you need to run a venture scale business, but I think you can raise capital with the intention to eventually figure out your business, like to pivot your business or to become venture scale or like not be entirely sure of the idea you're raising for as long as you have people wanting to back you and not necessarily just your idea.
Right. I mean, generally speaking, eventually you need to reach a point
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
where
No,
you
you
can,
have to reach a point.
yeah, you have to reach a point. And me personally, I have worked in like a company that has been like I've worked in two companies actually, uh which have been like those kind of unicorns, and I have not exactly enjoyed that. so, so I was not really
Is
sure whether this
is
is,
that because of those particular companies or because they
I
were
mean,
hyperscale venture companies?
I don't know, probably could be either of those, right? So it's very hard to say with just two data points, but yeah, it is what it
Yeah,
is. Plus, that's a very different lifestyle altogether that you have to sort of then be like. And I don't know if I am like the best person for that, or at least if I am in the mindset to be that person. Okay. So that's basically one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I don't want to raise money. Now, if I don't raise money, what are my options? Essentially, I need to have a business that cash flows,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I need to have positive cash flows from, let's say,
Yep.
3 to 4 months onwards. Otherwise, it's just going to keep burning hole in my pocket. Now,
Yeah,
if I build a product, it takes like maybe a couple of months to have a mature ish product. I mean, you can definitely get out of MVP in like a week, maybe less with AI and stuff. But
yeah,
to come to a point where somebody is like, okay, I will give you some serious amount of money to use the product, this is where you essentially, it takes like a couple of months. In the past, whenever I've tried like building products by myself, it has taken me about like a year or so to realize, okay, nobody's going to pay.
I've realized, I think for like most companies, it takes like at least a year after the product's out to actually get like real revenue.
Real revenue,
And
real
this I'm talking about
retention.
like enterprise or like selling into the enterprise, not consumer companies per se.
Yeah. So consumer companies, ideally, you're not charging initially. You're trying to run for.
Eh,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel like you
Makes sense.
can like in UPI autopay day and age, you can start charging from day one, I think.
True. True. Because
But like if you
you're
start a like I mean not a company we would start or like but just for the sake of the argument like अगर you start a content business तो उधर तो मतलब day one से ही charge करने लग जाओगे तुम.
right. Makes sense. That's when I realized, agencies are the easiest bootstrappable business on earth, because you don't need capital. You need like 6 months runway max, and then you need like a growth hack, or don't even need a growth hack. You just need two customers, maybe, right?
Yeah,
Or maybe one customer, and then you already have the skill set that you're going to serve. If
yeah,
you're working on a job, you just start doing that skill set, but for like multiple clients now, rather than doing it for the one person. Getting customers is not that difficult, at least to a degree, where you like hit up everyone that you know in your professional circle and be like, hey, do you need any help? After that, you start hitting up people randomly on LinkedIn.
second, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then you start sending cold emails to other countries and blah blah blah. That's like a
yeah,
very simple way to
yeah.
sort of start a services company. It doesn't require a lot of money. You can start cash flowing. These are the pros. What are the cons?
No, I guess okay. Before we come to the points, maybe on this business, like when you restarted your agency, like was it much easier to get started getting back clients, or like was it harder than like the first time you ran an agency for you personally?
So for me personally, second time was super easy. Second time
Okay,
when I restarted, I hit up
yeah,
my old clients, and
yeah,
literally 30 minutes after I decided to restart, I had a client.
okay,
Okay. The first time though, the
yeah,
first time when I started, I was like maybe 24. So
okay, okay, okay,
that was very difficult. I had
fair,
I had a very sharp rejection, fear of rejection. Okay.
fair,
And
fair.
I would not hit up people. I would just, go on Reddit, be like, be cute, very like, oh, you're looking for a developer, I'm a developer, and try
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah,
clients off of that. That
yeah.
that shit took me like about a couple of months of unemployment to figure out that, okay, I got like one client who was sitting in Tennessee and was
Okay,
willing to pay me like $25 an hour for some WordPress
okay,
work. That's how I
yeah,
got
yeah,
started.
yeah,
I
yeah.
tried to make my profiles on Upwork and stuff, and I realized, okay, this is not for me. There's too much competition. But having said that, I had done like Fiverr and stuff earlier, so I mean, I was in college then, so it was just much more
But that's
easier.
for math homework, not for.
Math homework, and then eventually programming homework, and
Okay,
then
okay,
help me with my Android app, and then that's how it sort of
okay, okay.
progressed. But yeah, essentially, the first time it took me a lot of effort. I was like, okay, can I even do this? Because I mean, sending a cold email used to feel so scary.
Hard. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever felt scary while sending an email? Have you?
Honestly, no. I don't think. Like I remember, like I think in 10th grade, I really wanted to go to an Apple conference, so like I emailed Tim Cook. His office replied, and like they basically said no. But I feel like it's. I've always been like fuck it, like Vejo, like what are they gonna say? Like I
Yeah.
mean they already don't know me or maybe think highly of me because they don't know me. So like, what's the worst that can happen from an email?
It's just you build it up in your head that how can I bother them? And honestly, sometimes I feel very irritated when I get, let's say, cold calls and cold emails. So I just think, okay, the other person will also we would be feeling the same. But I mean, if you're doing like a very good job with your sending emails, you're not really, you know,
Yeah,
parish.
I mean, I feel annoyed when I get bad cold emails, but that's because they're not good. Like someone telling me, "Oh, like we love the work you do, and we think like we'd be a great fit for your portfolio." And it's a deep tech company, and I've never invested in a deep tech company. So like I'm like, what work have you done in like seeing what I have invested in when you
Yeah.
make a statement like that?
Thing that should show off is show come out is sincerity. Are you sincere with your messaging, with your email? And it's how it kind of comes up, right? Like, I mean, if somebody is in deep tech and they're messaging you,
Yeah.
the person who doesn't invest in deep tech, I mean, the sincerity shows off. Okay, there's no sincerity there. They're just hitting up everyone with the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
message,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That is where you hate the cold email. But otherwise,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I mean, I've hired like people who just randomly cold email me and they're like, "Hey, dude, this is me. This is the skill set I have. I think you run a company which requires this skill set. If you do, just let me know." And I've had like a couple of people like that.
Oh wow. Okay.
Surprisingly, I've only received maybe like 20-25 emails like that, and
Okay.
I've done like, so there's a 10% chance, hit rate.
So if you are looking for a job and actually care to want to work with Shobhit, go find his email and email him.
Correct. And it's not that
First,
difficult to find my email. Like if
no,
you
I
just
mean, yeah, it's like just go on the fucking internet. It's not. Don't ask people. Just find it.
correct. The crazy thing I've never done though is like cold calling. Like I've never called.
Honestly, that sounds insane. I don't think I've ever done that either. I think
Yeah,
the closest I've gone is like getting a founder's like number and like texting them on WhatsApp like when they're raising a round and being like, oh, like I found your number somewhere and I heard you're raising capital for your business. I'd love to chat.
so I mean, I was of the same opinion. I'm still of the same
Yeah,
opinion, but like
yeah,
cold hard data that I've seen is very
yeah,
different.
yeah,
So if you can cold call, I mean, that's nothing like that. But okay, if you can't, that's also fine. Just send an email, send LinkedIn message, send Twitter DMs. Like there are so many ways to sort of connect with your target audience and then offer your service. Not
yeah,
everyone will reply, not everyone will be nice. Some will be rude as fuck, but I mean, you
yeah.
just need like one person to convert, and then you're off to the races. It's a very easy business to start. Start it. You kind of start making money on day one itself, ideally. Otherwise, end of month one or end of month two, you should have some sort of projects and start making some money.
But okay. This does require you to actually be good at what you do when you're starting an agency in that perspective. Like,
Good
I,
or better than the median is
okay,
probably.
take.
So I
Yeah.
mean, you need to be better than the people that are there in the company. I mean, to put it right. Okay, if you are a salesperson, let's say, and you want to start, let's say, a cold emailing or a cold calling service, you can still do that. And if you just, let's say, pitch that to me, and I don't have any salespeople, I'll be like, okay, I'll give a shot to you. And month one, month two onwards, I realize, okay, you're not that great. I'll fire you. Uh, and then there's a churn problem. So your churn problem tells you how good of a service provider you are. But otherwise, I mean, if you can do if somebody has previously hired you to do that work, and you have done that work in a more than satisfactory manner, you are kind of sort of
Probably
qualified.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What are like the easiest agencies to start in 2025?
Yeah, so the easiest ones are also the ones with the highest amount of competition. So
Okay.
just beware of that. But the easiest ones to start are the people that are easiest to hire, and then you just do the sales part. So the people that are easiest to hire that I've seen recently are video editors.
Okay.
Every day I get pitched by random people. They're like, I have 10 video editors and I'm going to offer this video editing as a service to you. I'm like, oh dude, I already have an editor, I'm fine with it. Like I unless you can reduce like cost by 10 per, like not 10%, sorry, like you can by
10x.
yeah, by
And
90%,
yeah, yeah.
and keep the quality, I'm not going to switch.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right.
And that I don't think anyone like I mean, yeah, I don't think people can really do that in when you have like human labor as the cost that can't really go down that
Yes,
much.
yes. They're saying some of them are trying to do it with AI, but they're not able to keep the quality.
Uh,
So, I mean, it doesn't work out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but that is one agency that people start very easily. Then another is if you have long form content, they hire a bunch of editors again, like reel creators and all those things, and then they hit up with all the creators and figure out, can I chop it down for short form content. Although I think the competition is very high because at this point, I think any serious creator has sort of figured out that I need to do this, and they have a team to sort of get this done. Design agency is another one. If you know people that are designers, it's a very simple business to start. You pitch anybody with a website, and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to offer my
Make your
services
design. Yeah.
to redesign your web page,"
Yeah.
and your market is infinite, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone with a website is basically your market, and design sort of pays decent money. Let's say you get a designer with like minimal experience, or maybe they've like built, let's say, 5 to 10 websites earlier. They would charge you somewhere around 1.5 lakhs a month, not more than that.
Mm.
And if you take a project, the project would be somewhere around $1,000 to $2,000. So if you're able to do, let's say, 3 projects in a month with this one designer, you kind of make 1.5 to 2 lakhs with this one person. My maths might be up and down, but like you will make at least a lakh per person, and you, let's say, now hire 10 people. You get enough lead and workflow and all that, right? So your skill as a agency operator is essentially how to get sales. Me being a developer and running a dev agency, another thing that I can do is help my team out, but that's not
Yeah.
necessary. Not
Yeah.
every agency owner is able to do that, and honestly, they don't need to. They have hired people to be able to do that.
Fair, but I assume like you being a developer and being really involved in the hiring of your team, it really helps because if you are an agency owner with no eye for design or no way of checking if someone's a great designer or not, you might lead into a situation where like your projects aren't getting done on time, they actually look shit, like, and then your customers churn and yada yada yada.
So, I mean, you need to be able to do QA, quality check,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, but that's probably the skill set you need rather than the skill set of being able to build. So you need to be able
Okay,
to
fair,
judge
fair.
the output, but you probably don't need to be able to do the work. So these are the pros of creating agencies. The cons are there is no equity value at all. So when you're building a product, when you're building a marketplace, when you're building, let's say, a social network kind of a thing or something like that, there is equity value in those businesses. And what do I mean? You are building an asset which has a staying power, which somebody else can buy, and they want to, or they would be willing to pay some decent multiple of your revenue or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
because they see, okay, this thing by itself can run and give me some money. It's an asset, right? To give you an example, WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is essentially a social network. If you think about it, like messaging app is a social network that has network effects. So that is why um,
yeah,
Facebook was so much interested in WhatsApp, because they're like, okay, we'll get data and whatnot, and okay, fine. But the network effects are the things which make it very valuable, and it's very
yeah,
hard to
yeah,
break network effects. Like
yeah,
Aratai started a WhatsApp competitor. They had like a good marketing push and everything, but they're like, they couldn't just do it. Like they couldn't replace
yeah.
WhatsApp, and they're now below top 100 apps in the Play Store.
Yeah, yeah. I remember like I think this was like 4 or 5 years ago, and like there was this whole backlash against WhatsApp, and like everyone was like, "Oh, use Signal, use
Signal,
Telegram," and then like 20 people moved to it, and then 1 month later, we were like, "Okay, we're back to just using
back to
WhatsApp again."
WhatsApp, right? Same thing with Twitter X, right? Elon
Yeah,
Musk
yeah,
bought Twitter. He could have built the whole thing, right? I mean, it's not
yeah, yeah,
hard to build Twitter. I mean,
yeah.
maybe it is now with the number of
No, but
features, but it's
I,
not. It's not like completely, like, it's not like building rockets.
yeah.
It's a very figure outable thing. But
But even if it was rocket science, like Elon knows how to build rockets, so I don't
correct,
think that's a challenge.
correct. Still, he had to buy rather than build, because there are network effects there. People who are active, people who have like audiences there, they're not going to shift, because not unless you come to a point where everyone kind of migrates together, it's very
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
break those network effects. So there is an
yeah,
asset there, right? So when you're building a product, when you're taking money, you're trying to build an asset out, which is why
yeah,
all the startups are losing money, because people think, oh, you're not making any cash, blah blah blah. Like, they are trying to build out an asset. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like building out an asset takes or costs money, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what they're trying to do. Like if
yeah,
you
yeah,
if you do the same thing in the physical world, what you're doing is, let's say I take money from Anmol and I'm like, okay, Anmol has given me $1 million, now I'm going to keep putting this money into building a factory, so my PNL will look very bad, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
using that money to build an asset that can hopefully later on throw enough amount of cash. Yeah, so that is why you need to sort of raise money to infuse that thing into building out an asset, and that asset now gives your company enterprise value.
But do you not think you're like, as a agency or a services owner, your contracts and your relationships with customers are the asset you're building? It's obviously not the same degree to a product, and like you're never gonna be valued the same way a product company is valued. But I do think, at least in the US and other countries, we have some precedent of service owners selling their services businesses. Maybe there is just not a market for that in India or kind of other reasons, but koi to equity value hoga na.
Yeah, so I'm not saying there's zero equity value. Okay,
Okay, okay, okay.
what I'm saying is, if you earn $1 of revenue with your asset, like a Twitter, you get
Yeah,
20x
yeah,
revenue multiple or 20x
yeah, yeah, yeah.
earnings multiple. Yeah, if you have a services company like mine, right,
Yeah.
and if tomorrow I
It's like
stop
10x.
working on it, maybe you'll keep making money for maybe 12 months, and then after that you
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
make money. So if you apply
yeah,
a DCF model, you're like, okay, I can probably give this person maybe two times earnings.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so you don't
yeah.
get enough leverage in terms of the outcome that you can get with a services
Fair,
company, right?
fair,
That you can
fair,
get with
fair.
a product company, but then product
That,
company obviously
yeah.
requires a huge upfront investment.
And continual, often continual capital infusions.
Continual
Like, I
capital.
can't think of very many startups in the recent past who've like just raised one round and been like,
Correct.
oh, we'll like sell or go public.
I think the one I remember is Zapier, maybe.
I mean, even they raised like a B and a C and a.
Yeah.
There, I mean, there was a long time between the seed and the A, and now like let's see if they're even relevant anymore. Like, or if that all that equity value is like destroyed by these MCP companies and vibe coding tools and whatnot.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, so one con that is for the agency is that there's not good enough leverage or outcome out of it, right? I mean, you can sell your company. That's not a problem. Like, there's this guy, Rahul Gonzalez. He sold his company. Used to run this agency called Obvious, which was a design agency, and he sold it to PhonePe. And so those kind of outcomes are there. But Rahul from the Obvious, I don't know what he got, but pretty sure he would not have received the same amount of leverage that uh, the founders of Grow would have gotten with their IPO.
And then also like it's also like Rahul's been like at it since like the early 2000s or like mid 2000s. Like I feel like I've like they were like one of the earliest agencies that I know of, and like have been producing probably high quality work for like a decade plus before
Selling.
they kind of sold or got into this kind of outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's not like you don't have any exit options, but just
yeah,
you will
just
make
limited.
less. Yeah, you
Yeah,
will make
yeah,
less. So that is one con. Another con is there is no compounding, so to say, unless you think of your relationships as compounding, because you do your work today, you give it to
yeah,
your client, and that's it, the transaction is over.
yeah,
But unlike in a product where you're like always investing back into the asset, you have a flywheel going on and stuff like that. So that is why one piece of advice, if I have to share with anybody who's trying to build a, a services company, is instead of building a services company which is like wide, which is what I have done, which is I'm like, okay, you tell me what you want, I have developers to build it for you. I will create a productized service and will focus on compounding that knowledge specifically for that productized service. For example, I don't know, maybe I can create a great services company that can become the mobile SDK developer for you, for anyone out there. So that way I can be like, okay, 80% of the code base will be the same,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can keep
yeah,
improving that and make that my asset. And then
yeah,
I need like 20% of customization, but
yeah,
I still get to make like decent margins that a services company gets.
yeah,
So services companies, big pro that I forgot was that you get good margins from day one. Product company, you sort
yeah.
of have to enable your
You have to
unit,
build into your, yeah,
build,
margin.
yeah, build into your, you have to look for unit economics and stuff. Whereas an agency, it's like it's built in, like you.
The like the margins you start with are the margins you die with.
So, I mean, you can get to keep the same margins or maybe increase the margins or reduce price, whatever you want to do, with a productized service. And you also don't need to then rely on hiring brilliant people, as long as you
Yeah,
can hire people who can get the job done
yeah,
based on that thing. So
yeah,
one thing that I realized there to explain this better was, um, how there are some restaurants where they're like, we have great chefs and the restaurant depends on the chef being great.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right, like all of the
yeah,
Michelin star probably would fit that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
those are great high margin businesses. They make money
Yeah.
from day one, but they cannot scale to billions of dollars,
No, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or maybe they can, they just have to figure out some other
Um,
way, or I don't know.
core restaurant business cannot really, like, the same product cannot scale to
Yeah,
$1 billion in revenue or
because it depends a
whatever.
lot on the chef and the chef's skill set and stuff, right?
Yes, yes,
Compare that to McDonald's,
yeah,
right? McDonald's, like, okay, we are not going to offer you any and everything. We are going to offer you a very specific amount of things.
yeah,
There is some customization. You can add cheese, you can remove cheese, maybe blah blah blah. But there is like very specified things, and we can train people to sort of work on these things, and they
yeah. And
don't
anyone
anyone.
can work in McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and McDonald's is actually very optimized, so anyone can work there. But we will still have some sort of skill set that not anyone, but a lot of people can work, and you can train a lot of people to sort of be able to work there.
I think it's like anyone can work there, but you have to go through their training program to get the skill sets to
Yeah,
be able to work there.
correct. I mean, so tomorrow Anmol cannot start working there, but like maybe 30
Yeah.
days later, Anmol can start working there.
No, no, but I can apply there and like I'll go through their 2 week training program and then start
Yeah,
immediately after.
correct. I mean, once you're accepted.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you were to do a productized service, like for example, if I do a mobile SDK service, you at least need to be an Android or an iOS developer to be able to work, right? But you don't need to be an exceptional Android developer, is what I'm saying. Right now, the kind of business that I have, I need to have like good talent, and that talent needs to have good enough taste. Otherwise, I have to get involved, and my time is
yeah.
where all the problem sort of
Leverage.
starts.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other thing that's probably somewhat compounding in terms of like a productized service business that you're describing is there's probably not a lot of services doing only mobile SDKs as a like service. So you also maybe are able to like build out some positioning and niche for yourself that like, hey, we're the best at doing this. And you should only reach out to us when you want to do this. So then your lead filtration process is probably also a lot smoother because you don't have like every kind of company reaching out to you. Because I'm sure like even you get leads where it's just like, oh, we just want like a website, but like we can only pay you 10,000 rupees. And
Yeah.
you're like, the fuck am I gonna care about you as the client then?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you get to find your niche, you get to dominate your niche with like figuring out one specific thing that your company can be good at or is good at.
Yeah,
There are like bunch of other options as well. So this is the development that I was talking about. In fact, if you think about it, uh, going through the content and then chopping it up into small pieces is actually a productized service that you can then perform for a bunch of people. You have to have a work setup that you can then replicate everywhere else.
yep,
Or maybe you can use AI somehow to sort of be like, okay, these are the points which I have to focus, and then your human brain takes over and you're like, okay, once I've figured out, okay, these are the things where I need to look at, which can be a moment that can be shared. That's when the human sort of comes in, and they're like, okay, with my time now, I can figure out, okay, what's a good clip to make.
yeah, yeah,
And then you can obviously invest in your tools and make automation that makes it better. So that is one this thing. A very common productized service that people offer is user testing,
yeah,
which is a very simple thing to do. You be like, hey Anmol, I know you have this app. I have about 10 people. Do you want me to give them a brief and go through your website and then report back as to what do they think about X, Y, or Z,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And these 10 people have these kind of qualities and all that, right? And that's like a very a thing that we used to regularly buy at my previous, you know, employers.
yeah,
And a couple of clients as well we have sort of worked with to sort of get them vetted with like, okay, this is what the general public is right now thinking based on the words that you've written and stuff. And it's a very easy productized service to pull off.
yeah.
You need to you need to basically put in the effort to create a process which provides like a better way of reporting things, and then you need to be able to give that report in a summary and whatnot with like key points highlighted and all those things. So it's like a proper consulting work, but it's a very specific sort of consulting work that, you know, I think anybody can pull off if you have the ability to sell. I mean, if I were to restart, and or maybe I can do that tomorrow, I don't know what's stopping me.
Well, I
uh,
mean, like, I think, yeah, I think the thing with agencies, you can like burn it all to the ground and like restart
Correct.
next day as well.
Yeah, there's no sunk
Well, I
cost.
mean, like, other than like you have like your relationship with your employees and you want to like not like entirely like just fuck them over,
Correct.
but like it's much easier to wind down and
Yeah.
pivot or restart than like a product company where you've taken on this capital. You can't just like it's not easy to just return the capital and re-raise capital.
Yes. Essentially, there's no sunk cost. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because
yeah.
you've not really put effort into a lot of things unless you count your funnels and stuff as sunk cost. One reason why I also decided to, you know, stick to services was I've seen like it's a good way to figure out what is a problem I care about. Because when I keep building the products for other people, I realize, okay, there are some problems that keep coming up again and again, and you know, you can build a product around it. For example, I I regret not building auth solution in
You regret not building an auth solution.
2018. Yes.
I think it's a very good idea you did not build an auth solution.
Really?
I think it's just a incredibly hard product to build massive adoption and large customers, given how like auth is such a central part to your product as a company that wanting to rip and replace an auth solution is like every developer's worst nightmare.
Yes.
That's what I feel. Because
Correct.
like it's literally the part of code that was probably one of the first things ever written at the company and then never touched again. Likely the developers who wrote that code aren't at the company anymore. And I'm saying this as someone who's worked at an auth company and rewritten auth at two different companies.
Yes.
So it's like I mean at Stitch, like we which was the company I worked for, which used to build auth products as a service. We had a consumer version of the product that like a consumer app could use, and a B2B version of the product where if you have organizations and members and different permissions and all that, you could sell that. And internally, we had to migrate ourselves Stitch consumer to Stitch B2B. And I think that's like one of the least fun projects I have worked on in my life.
Agreed, with one caveat. So the insight that I had was it's very hard to build an auth product for your main app, but it is the one that you need for your internal apps.
Yeah, okay.
So any internal tool, you know, you're like, I want to just work or I can only provide value with the main part, with the main
Yeah,
meat, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but auth and all is just required. It's kind of like compliance and all that shit, right?
yeah.
So that was the niche that I was going for.
Okay.
I still think that could be a good idea, but I just think now auth zero is the one that is sort of taken over that piece.
Yeah, I think odds just there's like there's too much competition and like businesses aren't switching. So like if you want to build a auth company from the ground up serving only new companies, it's probably still like a decent business. I do think it's really still really hard to get to like that like 100 million in revenue unless you have like a very specific focus. And like I think the only one of the new companies that I've heard like kind of pull it off. Have you heard of Work OS?
Work OS, even better
Yeah,
also, right?
yeah, yeah. So I don't think they're doing that much revenue. So I don't think they're but like WorkOS, like the whole thing was okay, like you need SSO will help you set up SSO and make your product enterprise ready. And I think that specific positioning has worked well in the valley. So now that every new AI company needs to become enterprise ready, they all use WorkOS. And
Work
like
OS.
they've scaled up to I think 50 million in revenue now. Betteroth and Clerk and all these guys are not doing a lot of revenue. So I think they're all Chotu Motu players.
Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, so 2018, I think there was not a lot of competition, to be honest.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
That's when
yeah.
I
At that
spotted.
point I was
Yeah,
not.
that's when I had
Yeah.
spotted this opportunity, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's auth zero shit," and I did not take any action. I had actually started building this thing, which was feature flags and rollouts and A/B testing for code develop, like for the code part, rather than for the, let's say, the landing page and stuff. And Launch Darkly was the one that was the only big player at that time.
Yeah.
And then I, that's when I joined an academy, and then
Yeah.
decided not to work on it. And lo and behold, like everyone sort of started adding it. Like Posthog now has A/B
I think
testing and
every developer platform has
correct, yeah,
because like I mean you see it like getting built at every decently large scale engineering org. Like I remember we had one version of it at Postmates and like a different version that we had built out at one of the other companies I worked at. And then as like I started to progress in jobs, you start seeing, oh, like now there's just a
same
service
thing
for this,
again,
that.
again. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying with services company. This is a
Yeah.
very simple. If you just keep your eyes open and you see, okay, this is something that we are doing again and again, whatever industry you're in, your whatever industry your service is in,
Yeah.
you can then figure out, okay, this is something that I can maybe create a product out of. To be honest, that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm batting for. Hard luck
But
till now.
Shobhit, you could raise like $2 million like next month if you wanted to.
Yes, I can, but the thing is, I don't know what is a venture scale or even, something like that. What can I work on which is venture scale, which, excites
I'm
me?
sure you'll figure it out. I don't think it's that hard. Some
Maybe.
AI agency as a service. Help people set up their agencies with AI agents.
I don't know if you need $2 million for that. It's like a
I think the $2 million it's because it's available, not because you need it.
okay. Side topic, but do you think if money is available, should people just go out and raise?
I mean, I think if they know they want to build a company, sure. Like if they want to just use it on themselves, then obviously not. But
Of course. It's the
but
company that's going to raise. It's not like they're going to take the money.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like some people will just like siphon off the money to themselves and like use it.
I
But
mean, bad
I
actors
mean,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah, like because I think one thing we see a lot in the US is like like a 21-year-old can go and hustle their way into raising 500K over a weekend in SF. And like we don't have that kind of capital availability in India. But like if you really want to build a company, you don't exactly know what the company is, but you have capital for it. Like why would you not go? Your investors are not going to be unhappy if the company doesn't work out. They are going to be unhappy if you like steal the money or like do fraud. But like if it goes to zero, they will not care because they've baked into their models that hey, like 50% or 70% of the businesses we invest in ultimately return zero capital.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, that's why I
Yeah.
have a wife. She is the
Yeah.
one who has raised money. Uh, so, I can see both the sides now. But
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, money definitely helps. And if you can raise and you have like a grand vision, like for sure, go for it. One thing that I've just realized while talking is maybe I'm just beholden or maybe I'm just shackled to my old opinions and I'm not went through them again. So
Wow.
you never
Maybe
know.
this episode inspires Shobhit to start a product.
You never know, Anmol. I might send a
VCs
send a
do not email him. I have a ROFR right, so you can email me if you want to participate in Shobhit's future round.
what's a rofer, right?
right of first refusal.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Shobhit has unknowingly signed that away to me when we started this podcast.
Yeah. So get ready for my tech picks.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my
but
god.
but yeah, I mean that's like one small rant about
Fair enough.
a
Well,
question
no,
I
I
keep
think
getting
you.
asked everywhere. I'm like, I have to
No,
keep justifying.
yeah. Well, speaking of term sheets and fundings, did you see finally got yet another IPO this week?
Are you talking about Lenscard?
I am talking about Lenskart. There was quite a few, so it's
Yeah.
good to. But Lenskart went public, and I mean, there was a lot of like chatter. Oh, are they overvalued? And like, what, like, and I mean,
Pointless,
I
most pointless chatter. I feel because
yeah,
have you seen that scene from that movie where it's not the Big Short movie, the other one, Margin
margin
Call,
call.
Margin
Yeah,
Call,
yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
they are selling to willing buyers at a fair
yeah.
market price, right? If you have an IPO and it gets subscribed, like that's it.
Yeah, just like yeah. And I mean, I think there was just like a lot of I don't know if it was like paid negativity or just like real negativity, but like I mean, they open slightly under their listing price, but like the stock's above listing. It's not like it's gone down like 20-30% after it
Yeah,
listed.
it's like
So
3 to 5% down.
no, but now it's up.
Oh, now it's up. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a percent or like less than a percent up. Like I think it like the list price was 395 something like that, or like, and it's at 400.45 right now.
So the people who applied for the IPO, they did not lose money yet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which
Or if
means
they've lost,
yeah,
yeah,
which means they
which
did
means
not really like it was not a very stupidly high price.
yeah. Or at least the market right now does not think it's a stupidly high
I
price.
mean, yeah, obviously
But
market does not think that. Correct.
what really interested me was like I was just like going through their RHP and like going on traction and seeing who made how much money. And there was something I was really intrigued by basis a tweet I also saw. So I don't know if you saw this tweet by a journalist at Economic Times, but Chirate is one of the earliest investors in Lenskart. There's a photo with the team at Chirate giving Piyush Bansal, who's the founder at Lenskart, like a framed version of the first term sheet he ever signed with them. And I guess how much of the company they owned in like the first round. And like we know typically like kitna hota hai dilution first round mein like
20%,
15-20%.
15, 20, 20, 15 to 20,
Guess what the round's dilution was?
25,
No.
30.
No.
What? For 35?
No.
Oh wait, come on.
45%
45. For how much?
for $4 million. So it was a fairly sizable round size for its time because this
Yes.
was in 2011. But I was like, holy shit, that's like just you're giving away half the company that early on. And it's not like the subsequent rounds, like the Series B was also fairly dilutive. It was like over 26-27% because they raised 10 million at 35 post. After the first two rounds, Piyush Bansal only owned 15.65%. His co-founder and I believe wife Neha Bansal owned 15.65%, and then the other founders own like 2% each. So like the founders collectively owned less than 40% after the first two rounds of funding.
Damn.
So now like the company went public at like $7-8 billion. So you would have assumed Shirate made a lot of money, right?
Yeah. I mean, at least
Yeah.
they would have
Well,
owned 20%.
unfortunately, guess how much they actually owned at the IPO?
Come on. 10%. 7. 5.
Less than 2% of the company.
What?
So So what happened was, and this is I think one of the harsh realities of venture capital, is like venture funds in India are subject to fairly distinctive regulation, where like your fund life cycle can only be of a certain length, typically 10 years, and you can extend it by 2 years by extending it 1 year and 1 year. I have heard of other venture firms in India having slightly longer tenures. The folks at InfoEdge were telling me that they had like a 12-year plus 1 year plus 1 year kind of thing. But I mean, roughly assume ki 10-12 saal mein you have to kind of enter, see value accretion and exit. And so what happens is when you're ending the near of your fund life, even if you think the company has a lot more leg room to grow into, you still kind of have to exit out your position. So between Lenskart's series E and F, where like the value kind of went up from like 250 million to $1 billion, Lenskart, I mean Chirate, ended up selling most of its ownership in the company. They still probably made, like, I know from like the secondary sales in that run up, they made over $100 million, and then they still owned, I think, over $100 million or more in their residual ownership. And like, I mean, ultimately have come out looking like it's like a great investment for them regardless.
Who did they sell it to? Do we know
They
that?
sold it to incoming investors coming in growth stages of the run.
Okay,
So I
so
think there's a
basically
firm called,
during that round, the company did not get money. The
yeah,
investor sort
yeah,
of kind of secondary sale
yeah,
essentially.
yes, yes. So I think like TR Capital, Kidara, SoftBank, Temasek. I haven't looked into the filings to see who exactly from the subset of firms bought their equity. But I believe it is some or all of these guys. And then I think also ADIA, which is the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund, because I remember seeing at least some news article about
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think it shows like in venture, even even when you're really right about a company, own a shit ton of it, like your timing matters
So
so
much.
much. It's only in the last 5 years that Lenskart has gone from a $250 million company to a $8 billion company. In the first 7 years, it went from a $0 million company to a $250 million company. So venture is hard. That's a key takeaway here.
Yeah. I mean, any any job where you have to time something is very hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think especially in India, because I think what we've also seen is companies in more recent vintages tend to scale their value accretion much faster. So, like Grow, for example, returned over a billion is will return over $1 billion for peak XV in less than 8 years.
Damn. That's more than a fund returner for sure, right?
It is. So they invested out of their sixth fund, which was a $700 million fund. Now that grows a $10 billion company after their listing, I think their stake is probably pegged at like billion point five, like billion and a half or more. So it's easily like a 2x fund returner. It could be a 3x fund returner basis when they're actually able to sell the stock and more, because when companies go public, like the firms can't like sell and distribute capital immediately. They're like usually subject to some sort of lock-in period, and even when they're subject to a lock-in period and that expires, they don't sell all of their equity at once and kind of like will do block sales over the next, I don't know, like several years before they fully distribute back the capital.
Yeah. So how do you feel about operating a fund in India now?
So I
I think you don't
it's very
operate in
long.
India though, right? Like maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, I think we knowingly signed up for a very, very long journey. I think the benefit for very, very small funds like us are that we don't necessarily have to wait until the IPO to sell our stakes in companies.
Yeah.
And like we don't own 40% of the companies like Chirate or like Peak, but in whatever little ownership we have, it is very easy to get secondary deals for a part of our ownership at the Series C, the D, the E, as these companies progress, and us making fund returners times X selling into these rounds.
Yeah, makes
That's the
sense.
hope, at least. That's the hope. We haven't done it yet, but
Inshallah, you'll do
yeah,
it.
inshallah.
All right. I think that's enough for today. I'm feeling very thirsty now. But
Yeah.
if you've been watching till now and you've been waiting for the email ID reveal where you have
Hmm.
to send your comment,
Yeah.
so just take a screenshot of your comment and send it to heyboxodi at gmail.com. HEYBOXODI at gmail.com.
And we
And
will put this in the description as well so people are aware.
or maybe we won't.
Okay, maybe we won't.
But take a screenshot, comment something, comment fund returner, and
Yeah.
take a screenshot and send it to me. And five of you random people will get a voucher from Blinkit. What do we want people to do?
Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share with your friends.
And we'll see you again next week. Till then,
Yes, sir.
see ya.